Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome. Hey, how's it going? You guys, welcome to Yoga with Simone. Just getting set up here. Today's practice is going to be a yin practice, and you're going to need two stacks, two blocks for your practice. You might not always need them, but if you have them in your home, in your space, wherever you may be, just making sure that you bring them out. We are doing a playlist today if you want to join in that. Sweet, almost quiet like tunes in a way that I've curated this playlist for our practice today. So you can find that on Spotify, and my handle name is my friend Simone, all one word. I'm your friend, you're my friend. Simonee, my friend Simone. It's the first, or maybe it's not the first playlist up, but it might be the second playlist because it's the first playlist up. It's YIN Sunday, February 21st. Cannot believe it. 21st of 2021. So you guys can grab that playlist, get it ready. And if you're ready with everything you need, or when you're ready with everything you need, feel free to get on your back body and just enjoy the simplicity of landing in corpse pose, shavasana, that ultimate letting go pose. Hence why it's named corpse pose. If without getting too cryptid or weird about things, but that ultimate letting go is the idea of shavasana. We've got about 4 minutes before we begin class. So we begin on the hour, 11 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. Pacific. So because we have a little bit of time, I'm going to join you in that corpse pose until we get started. Okay, everybody, welcome to our Sunday Yin. We are on the hour, 11 a.m. Eastern and 8 a.m. Pacific. So that means we're going to get started for those joining live. And if you've been here with me for a few moments before, just paying attention to what that Shavasana, that quiet time just before now, what it may be provided. And if you're familiar with the practice of mindfulness and the idea of mindfulness in your yoga practice, for those that are more in tune with mindfulness for meditation, there are similar ideas around weaving mindfulness into our practice. So it's not that our mind is ever not without thought, but it's bringing a certain kind of awareness without attachment to anything that might pop up in the practice. So you can notice whatever comes up in the space of the mind. And just outside of that noticing, you return to the practice and the awareness of your breath. I give that to you because there'll be a ton more space in our yin practice today around really practicing that practice over and over. If you've got a device for playing music, you just might want to put a hand to it. I'm going to count down our press play for our playlist on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hit play. Before we leave our Shavasana, and if you're not there already, make sure that you can take 2 breaths there. Pay special attention to the letting go exhale. That's a pretty good partner to Shavasana. Not only do you feel the weight maybe ground a little more to your mat, but you also feel the kind of weight that can leave you in your exhales. Kind of pressure, a kind of holding on. As you breathe here, start to become more aware of your breath. Not necessarily changing it, just what it does through the inhale and exhale. Maybe where you feel it most in your body. Could be in the nose, it could be at the back of the throat. It could be in the torso as the belly and the chest lift for the inhale and then fall for the exhale. Put your focus there, wherever they may be in your body today. Follow that breath. We're going to roll over onto our belly and belly Shavasana. You can support your head with layered forearms underneath the forehead. That helps with putting your neck at neutral. Or you can place a cheek to the mat and look one way. And as you come into your belly shavasana, it's important that you put your shoelaces to the mat so the points of your toes point to the back of your mat. And you feel a very subtle but important stretch or sensation in your ankles. And then let your body be in that and release to that. Hi, husband Paul and Mom. Thanks for joining. If you decide to put your cheek to the mat, we're just going to want to balance that out about midway through the pose to put the other cheek to the mat. You draw your attention still to the passing in and through and out of your breath. And you can feel for the sensation in your ankles, however pronounced or slight that may be. If you've got a cheek to the mat, you're going to want to switch it up and put the other cheek to the mat so that you balance what's happening in your neck out. As we hang in here with our shoelaces to the mat, the extension or the lengthening of the sensation and stretch beyond the ankles and maybe up through the shins a bit. And take another deep breath in and out through the nose. And then neutralize your head to center, even if you need to lift your chin. And put your hands underneath your shoulders like you're going to do a little press up. And come up onto the hands and knees. Walking your knees a little closer in. I want you to tuck your toes under and in so you get off of your shoelaces. And then start to walk your hands back towards your knees. Make sure that your pinky toe is tucked in as well. And you're going to enter right into a toe squat, a kind of counter pose to that very subtle opening of what we did in our ankles. For people that want to modify this, that feel already a ton of sensation, you can take one of your stacks, you put your knees, and you'll put your stack underneath both your knees. You could also use one stack for each knee, if that's helpful. And that just raises the knees off the floor and takes a little pressure off of this toe squat. And we're going to be here for a little over a minute, so I want you to choose the venture, that kind of venturing in, journeying in to something that's available to you with calm breath. Soften with your hands onto your thighs. And if you want to receive and be open a little more, maybe flip the palms up. Notice what's happening with your breath. Get mindful and follow it in and out. Notice where there's a heightened physical point of breath, where you feel it the most in your body. You might notice the sound of my breath growing in scope. It's helpful as you start to feel the challenge of this in your toes and in your feet and ankles to really dig into the support of the breath. Take 2 more breaths, maybe hold when you get to the top, to release big when you get to that exhale. Whether on the blocks or not, you're going to lean forward and place your hands down. If you have the blocks underneath, one knee at a time, if it's one block at a time, remove that block out from underneath. And then put your knees back down and walk your hands even further ahead into a tabletop and untuck your toes. And then tap your toes. Little drummer boy, drummer girl vibe. And just feel the blood flow and the oxygen reach your toes again as you breathe in and out through the nose here. One more breath, a couple more taps. Send your bum back towards your heels. Have a little mini stretch of child's pose. You can layer your hands or forearms underneath your forehead, or you can rest your forehead straight to the mat. And just notice the heaviness of the body through each exhale. Essentially a little more weight bearing into the support of our mat. You can send your breath all the way down your spine into your lower back. So that you the sacrum grow large for the inhale. And heavy exhales. And dropping more of you into your space. I want you to take your time rolling up. And eventually just stacking your shoulders on top of your hips in a sit. You should feel a little softening deeper in the tissues of your ankles and your shins. We're just going to give our ankles a little break. Take your props, your stacks, put them underneath your hands and tabletop. And step into downward face dog for a little sweet stretch. And press the heels down. Gonna walk your feet up behind your blocks in your hands. And then widen your feet mat width distance. Just fan your toes out and start to bend so that your seat comes down into squat. And in your squat, because we want this to be super sweet and yin-like, we want to create a ton of support. So it's okay if you slip one of your stacks or even if you need both of your stacks underneath your seat so that you can focus on the wide of your knees and your legs. And then you can stand up your other stack in front of you vertically. Try and get out of putting any pressure in the lower spine, which might help by sitting up your heart a little more. Just feeling a sweet sensation through the inner thighs. And a little taller spine, taking the pressure off of the lower back. Again, just following your breath in, through, and out. Maybe zoning in on a physical space in your body where you notice how the breath feels as it does its work. I'm going to hang out here for about another minute or so. If you want a deeper sensation and maybe to explore something in the whole of the spine, you can round and hang heavy. You could also get rid of the proper stack underneath your seat and hang heavy with your seat in gravity. And if you do that, you might be able to stack that second prop on top of the first prop in front of you so that you have somewhere to hang your head. I'm going to hang out here for a beat. It's totally okay to close the eyes. And with that softening in the expression of your face, your jaw might part. And letting it be okay in the body to soften throughout. And with this practice of mindfulness, again, just allowing ourselves to be aware without necessarily being engaged in what we're aware to, whether it's a thought, whether it's a sound. Just following the ins and outs of our breath and noticing. Find 2 more breaths here. Perhaps at the top of your inhale, you can hold for a beat or 2. Encourage a deeper release on your exhale. If you're hanging your head heavy, you're going to want to move that up slow. Press a little pressure into the heels and feet to stand up the heart and the spine more long. Unstack your blocks, and maybe each block in each hand, you can walk those hands behind you for support. And sit your butt down. Slowly step your legs forward. Lie down on your back body. Whew. Totally natural if you were rounding in the spine quite a bit from that Malasana squat to feel sweet tenderness in your lower back. So please bend your legs, step your feet wider, keep your feet on the mat, and then knock your knees inward to rest up against one another, while lengthening by walking your upper back up your mat, lengthening your spine, and then a light tuck of your chin in here. Follow your breath. Knock our knees apart. So as you widen the space between the knees, you can heel toe your feet a little closer together, but still separate. And then you're going to get up to a sit. You can roll to your side body to make that happen from fetal position, or you can just help yourself up on your forearms and elbows. And as you sit up, you're going to long your legs. Going to take your left leg, bend it, and bring the ankle and shoelace kind of behind you so that you can put your shoelaces to the floor and your heel will look up. Notice what's happening in your knee here. Sometimes it helps to seat up on one of your blocks at the lowest height so you give a little less pressure to the knee. If you're doing that, you're putting the block underneath your sit bones so that there's a little bit of the tilt of the pelvis, of the pelvis forward. And you'll be able to get a really long spine here. And then you're going to want to walk your body back. And set up your stack behind you so that you can come potentially down on your stack. Some of you may start with leaning back. Some of you may notice that you want to maybe remove the stack underneath your butt to walk yourself back. In fact, it might be the choice you need to make if you know you're going to lean back like I am, getting rid of the stack underneath the seat. But you'll have to decide what's okay for your left knee. And then if you do lean all the way back, you can use that second stack or block or prop underneath your head to bridge the space between your back body and your head and the mat. And call this half saddle. Broader sensation will be back in that ankle, our left ankle. But we'll also be getting into the hip, the left hip, as we pull a bit of sensation up into that left hip crease. Especially by introducing the leaning back. So if there's space for you to do that, just trying that on if it's okay with your left knee. If you've gotten all the way back, you'll also get into the sensation of your chest body and a little opening there. You can take advantage of that as you cycle through the breath, whole upper chest. As I'm demoing here, some of us are going to be in that first starting position where we're just playing with a bit of leaning back and introducing that stretch into the leg. If you are all the way back and you have a decent amount of support underneath you, that you feel good about where you are and you want to introduce a little more, you could step the right foot onto the mat to look the right knee up. You could feel for that before you decide whether there's more. And you could cross and bring, by lifting your head a bit, this left foot across, or right foot, excuse me, across your left hip crease. And then maybe drop the right knee down towards the space of your mat. This is a pretty intense add-on, all to say that it doesn't need to happen, and it really shouldn't if you feel any kind of pain in the knee joints. Wherever you may be in your shape, take 2 more breaths. We absolutely must come out the way we came in. What goes up must come down. So if you've crossed the right foot over the left hip crease, you want to start to hold on to that right foot with your left hand. And then just slightly bring up that knee so that you can carefully step the right foot onto the mat. And then you want to long your right leg. And then you want to put a little bit of pressure in your elbows, bring up your head, squeeze your belly in. Maybe you hold on to the sides of your mat for support and sit back up. Yeah, you're going to want to release that left leg long. Remove your stacks from behind if they're there. And just lay back down on your mat in corpse pose. About 3 more breaths in this pose, in this Shavasana. Take your time, come back up to your seat. And we'll go on to the other side of our half saddle. I'm going to bend your right leg. Tuck your right shoelaces to the mat. Some people are pretty open in the knee, so they can bring the whole of their shin kind of flat and even to their mat. I have a little bit of a lift out to the side of my calf. Your heel will be looking up at you. Your shoelaces are on the ground. Keep your left leg long and just find out what's happening. Lean back. You might decide you want to sit your seat up, your sit bones onto your stack. Again, you'll want to tilt your pelvis forward so it'll be right at the edge of those sit bones, and it'll alleviate a little something in that view. And if that's you, you can still play with leaning back a bit. Or if going without a stack underneath your seat, you can use your stacks behind you and walk that lean back. First step is stacking behind your shoulder blades and feeling the sensation across your leg and into your hip crease. And then maybe eventually supporting all the way back. There's the challenge of meeting the sensation in the pose, the stretch of it, the unfamiliar parts of it. But you need to be able to, in some ways, make yourself at home in it. Again, you may be more upright. You may still be playing with leaning back or just feeling a very gentle opening in your knee. That work in your knee is worthy of looking at, just to find a little more space of that joint being open. And then if you're all the way back, you're following the breath in and out through maybe the upper chest, because you got a little added thing going on there. If you're all the way back and it's feeling really sweet and you're curious about more, you can go to that second part where you bend the left leg and the left sole of the foot grounds on the mat. And assess that, feel for that. And if you're going deeper, you kind of lift your head. And then with your right hand, reach for your left foot and cross it over, almost on top of your right hip crease. A kind of lotus setting so that you can open the left knee towards the mat. Sides, guys, are allowed to be different, which means you might not achieve this in the same way on this side. It's important that in our practice of mindfulness, we acknowledge the truth of where we are. We're aware to that. We notice. And then dive back into the richness of your breath, regardless of how the shape turns out. To come out of our pose, it's the way we went in. So if you've got the crossed left foot over your right hip crease, you're going to want to hold on to that foot with your right hand, bring your left knee up, and softly step the left foot onto the mat. Lengthen your left leg. Back at half saddle. Press into the elbows, maybe grab the sides of your mat and lift your head, squeeze your belly, and come up slow. You might lean a little to the left to sneak out your right leg long. Move those props if they're anywhere behind you so that you can get right back to your Shavasana. It's totally natural to feel the heat in the body as the blood recirculates and the oxygen free flows through into all those parts that were part of the pose. Enjoy that life. Gather another breath in so you can really wipe the slate clean before going to our next shape. Be as audible, as true, as relief worthy as you need to in this exhale. Step the soles of the feet to the mat. Take one of your stacks and get it ready to sneak underneath your butt at your lowest height on that stack. So as you press through the soles of the feet and get the bum up, the stack is at the lowest height underneath you, at the base of your spine, underneath your sacrum, technically just a little high and shy above your bum cheeks. To add on, you can bring the soles of your feet together and then let the knees fall wide into space. Might be the case that you want to adjust your prop underneath your sacrum. Some people like to go more vertical with the block underneath them, so there's a little more support of that space above your sacrum spine. Notice if there's any tension gathering in the expression of your face, as we sometimes fight the release of our legs wide here. And can you ever so slightly exhale into any tension? A couple more breaths. And we'll adjust a bit. You can use your hands to the outer thighs and just help your knees back up to meet so that your knees are pointing up, soles of the feet are on the ground. If you put the block or stack vertical, maybe just adjust it so that it's horizontally across your sacrum. And then with a second prop, same height intended, you're going to sneak your butt up a little higher, maybe getting into the balls of the feet and stacking the other prop directly on top of that first prop. So you grab a little height. You might slide both blocks kind of up towards your head very slightly so that it really captures the support of your base spine there. And then just try and feel this guy out with the soles of the feet on the mat and the grounding of your neck body to your mat with a slight tuck of the chin. To take this a little further, 1 foot at a time takes off from the mat, with the knees pointing straight up to the sky and a bend in the legs. There's a bit of a shift into the upper back a little more as you manufacture a bit of a shoulder stand, a supported shoulder stand, and then you might kick up the legs straight, soles of the feet facing the sky. If you're in the full expression of this offering, this supported shoulder stand, just feeling the benefits of this inversion with your legs. Mostly straight, but not ironed out straight. Needs to be a bit of softness too. So a little less is more here. Try for 5 more breaths, and if it suits you, you can stay for 10 and even 15. When you're ready to start to come out of it, it's the way we came into it. So first, put your hands on your thighs for as you bend your legs in space. They'll be tingling in the feet as the feet come down. And then help your legs forward or to the back of the mat so that you can put 1 foot down at a time. You'll feel the setting of your feet get really heavy as the blood flow kind of lands into that space again. A little tingling there too. You'll sneak your butt up to release only 1 stack because you want to come down incrementally. To slowly eventually come down off of that first stack. And then to eventually lengthen and set into your final Shavasana. Less striking a pose, more giving way to this pose. Happy Sunday, guys. Take care. Be sweet. Find and be with things that give you solace. Solace Sunday. Namaste.